The Detroit Pistons lose two in a row. And if I'm honest, the second game was a lot more, I don't know, worthwhile in terms of a loss. You're losing to the number one team in the Western Conference, probably the number one contender outside the Cleveland Cavaliers and maybe the Boston Celtics and Denver Nuggets. This was no game to kind of scoff at and be like, oh man, we should have got that one. Now, despite the fact that this team was in it at the end, within 4 points with about 2 minutes to go, and no Cade Cunningham, is only a testament to the fortitude of this team. But there's a lot that can be learned from this game, and there's a lot that I really want to dive into. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stone's Family and Relationship Care. You know, when we're an athlete, we're used to getting coached to learn schemes, strategy, to learn skills, to develop our talent and abilities, to achieve an objective. Well, the same principles can be applied to your life. Having a coach to help you to learn skills, to learn strategies, to apply technique, to enhance your ability to achieve the goals that you have for your life, whether it's in your career, whether it's within your relationship, families, or just your overall mental health. Coaching is for us all. Contact Bridges and Stones today for your free consultation. Remember, none of us make it alone in the first place. So go on and get you a coach. The link is in the description box below. The first thing that I want to point out about this game is what I noticed right off the bat. And this is something that has been pretty consistent. That when the Detroit Pistons begin the game and Cade Cunningham is advancing the ball, especially in transition, when he is not pushing the pace, it's a clear indication that either his legs are not there or he's not locked in. And it's going to be a rough game for him. When he's bringing the ball up slowly, especially against a tougher defense, is an indication to me that he is not ready to execute at a high level. Now, I know you might be saying, well, why is that? Because we understand from Cade Cunningham's early career that when he brings the ball up slowly, he tends to overthink. He tends to get too much in his bag early on, trying to beat double teams. And he kind of gets into this zone where he's trying to maybe prove that he can beat a defense, that he can get to where he wants on the court. And I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability, but what I'm saying is that he's not necessarily locked into the overall scheme of the team. For those who may not be aware, the overall scheme for this Detroit Pistons offense starts off with the shooters running dribble handoffs through Jalen Duren at the top of the key, either dribble handoffs or a quick handoff and screen. Jalen Duren sets up the shooters. Now, the reason why this is important is because it provides spacing when the defense has to worry about guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. coming off of that screen. Cade Cunningham screening away, or maybe getting a down screen from Tobias Harris coming to the ball, starting off the ball. What that does is it creates this necessity for those perimeter defenders to get all the way up. Now, the reason why this is important is because it sets up the next layer of the offense, which is pick and roll between Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, especially within the starting lineup. This is one of their primary sets of their offense, but it is predicated upon the defense not being able to collapse because they have to worry about the shooters with Tim Hardaway Jr. Either on the wing, Tobias Harris in the corner, and then it completely leaves the middle open for Cade and Duren. And then the next ripple of this is Cade Cunningham isolation creation. His playmaking, trying to get into the middle of the court, getting into that paint, either playing bully ball, pulling up from that little mid-range from about 8 to 12 feet right in the paint, or creating for somebody else on a kick out, which he does exceptionally well. And then the last kind of wrinkle of this offense is Tobias Harris in the post, being able to find a mismatch, getting a guy somewhere in that 8 to 12 foot range, turnaround jumper, kind of steps through, raises, tries to get that foul, and then shoots over the top. At 6'9", 7'2" wingspan, 245 pounds, he has a distinct advantage over most smaller defenders. And it's really important that they're able to exploit that. He tends to be a secondary shot creator in this starting lineup, especially with Jaden Ivey out. The other aspect of this offense is getting out in transition, pushing the tempo. And this is where Asar Thompson plays a major role. His ability to accelerate with the ball in the open court and put the defense on its heels creates automatic mismatches. And within these automatic mismatches, they're able to go into certain looks, whether it's posting up Tobias Harris, whether it's getting right into a pick and roll, where it's recognizing that Cade has a mismatch and he's able to take him off the dribble. Sometimes Asar attacks the basket and is able to get all the way to the paint, draw an extra defender, or at least the attention of the defense, and then kicks it out to a shooter. These are all kind of the little layers that you see within the offense, but it's generally predicated upon creating shot opportunities for the three-point shooters to provide spacing. Now, here's the thing. When Cade starts the game off, going straight into his ISO game, what this does is it somewhat freezes the offense. Guys are standing around watching. And what ends up happening as a result is that the defense is able to collapse on him. And this is when we begin to see the turnovers. This is when we begin to see the frustration. This is when he gets fouled and referees don't see it. They're not calling it because they haven't quite learned how to referee Cade Cunningham. And as a result, it really bogs down our offense. And you saw early in this game, our offense was definitely bogged down until that bench unit began to come in and reinsert some energy and increase the tempo. Now, this is probably the main point from this game that I took away from it, is that, Cade, you have to trust the system. You have to trust the overall scheme for this team. You need to be able to recognize how to be an effective part of keeping the flow of this offense going. And it's not always predicated upon you scoring. As you saw in that second half, after Cade Cunningham gets ejected with that second technical, as bogus as it was, this offense was able to kick into gear. Suddenly they began to share the ball's swinging around, the defensive energy picks up, they get out into transition, they're getting open threes, they're finding mismatches, and all of a sudden they come roaring back. You see, this is an indication that the system works, bro. When your best player can sit down and you can still either accelerate a lead, cut into a deficit, or you can at least maintain where you're at, that tells me that this offensive system works. Now, the defensive system works as well. Kudos to the Detroit Pistons. Their defense kept them in this game. They kept Oklahoma City Thunder under control for most of this game, even though SGA got off. The rest of the guys didn't. There wasn't really huge explosive games for guys like Isaiah Joe. There wasn't a big explosive game from the pick and roll. And if we're honest, SGA was the main offensive cog. Now, but this is where JB Bickerstaff has to do better, is that he has to recognize that Asar Thompson, if he's not in foul trouble, he needs to be at 30 minutes. Even if he's seemingly playing bad, his role in being able to neutralize offensive weapons on his own, and you don't have to send help defenders, is a huge, huge component of this defense. It allows them to force missed shots. That allows them to get onto transition, to get easy points. They're one of the leading transition scoring teams in the NBA. It is a major part of their offense. Not to mention what he's also able to do off the ball as a help defender. He's able to close off driving lanes by his ability to quickly get into a ball handler who is trying to attack the basket, disrupt their handle, and then recover back out to his man before they can get a shot off after a kick out. That ability is tremendous with his size and his length and his quickness. So when you take him off the court, there is a huge void on the defensive end, which is why I'm at a point where not only should Asar Thompson be getting 30-plus minutes if he is not in foul trouble, but Ron Holland should be his sole backup. Simone Fontecchio, I don't doubt that you're giving energy and you're giving all the effort that you can give. And you've had some good moments and you've had some really kind of ugly moments, really terrible moments. But the reality is you're not really a part of the future for this team in that way. You're probably not going to be here for the next 5 years. You're probably going to be here this season and maybe next season. But hopefully next season, Bobby Klintman is taking your spot. That's just the reality. And so when you look at this roster and you look at the development of these players and you have somebody like Ron Holland, look, he was giving great energy. First off, JB, you can't let him get to that third foul in the first quarter, right? You can't let him get into foul trouble that fast because you do need him. You need that length. You need that energy. You need that athleticism, especially against a team like OKC. So he needs to be the primary backup for Asar Thompson. But here's the other thing. You cannot continue to go with the Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley backcourt against good teams. Defensively, you just have too big of a void. You have too big of an opportunity to give the other team's best scorer a consistent mismatch that they can go after. And you saw SGA went off against that lineup. Now, I'm sure in the plus minus, there may be some breakdown that it wasn't as bad as it looked, but damn it, it looked bad because SGA looked like he was absolutely licking his chops. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. And so an adjustment that I would make is that I would have Malik Beasley as Tim Hardaway Jr.'s primary backup, meaning Tim Hardaway Jr.'s minutes need to get cut. And Malik Beasley needs to be getting 25 to 28 minutes a game, and that be from Tim Hardaway Jr., not from Asar Thompson. Dennis Schroeder, you had a great game. Great game. I love that, especially if JB Bickerstaff sees that Cade Cunningham is not locked in. Come with Dennis Schroeder sooner. Bring him in sooner. Bring him in sooner, just like Isaiah Stewart. And here's the thing. Down the stretch of that game in the fourth quarter, especially when it was within 4 points, that was a primary time to actually play Isaiah Stewart. You could have played Duren too, but when you ran that quick pick and roll with Asar Thompson, look, I know Asar Thompson has really good finishing ability, but he's actually been struggling to finish. And you saw throughout this game he was struggling to finish. And I know you want to give him a chance and all that too, but this is where we got to execute. This is where you have to have the best lineup to be able to get the bucket. And this was a moment where I don't think he was the best option. But in fact, even when you went small, I think you should have went with Isaiah Stewart because of his ability to defend the rim, and he was playing such good basketball. He was rebounding effectively. He was keeping guys out of the paint. And he was scoring. I think he shot 100% from the floor. You see, these are little adjustments. And I know it feels like nitpicking because, like I said, they were within 4 points with 2 minutes to go. That only speaks to how well the schemes and the adjustments that you have made worked. But I keep feeling like there's a lot of meat left on the bone. And I've been saying that Jalen Duren needs to be more of a focal point because these are times when Cade Cunningham's legs are tired from carrying the team. Not so much carrying it. I don't want to discount what everyone else has been doing, but it's to say when Cade Cunningham plays such a major role for this team, and it's his first year really doing it to this level, to this degree, with this much success, he's getting tired, and I think it's apparent. You need someone else who can carry that load. Now, Tobias Harris had a great game. He had 18 points, was extremely efficient, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. He was extremely effective in this game. But I need there to be some intentional opportunities for Jalen Duren to be able to get the ball at the top of the key, fake a handoff, let him pass by, learn to let Cason Wallace continue to pass by, which he didn't the first time, and then he didn't try to attack again. And then size his man up and go straight to the basket. See if he can get a foul on Isaiah Hartenstein, get him in foul trouble. And then now you got Jalen Williams coming in, and you know you can beast him. I keep saying that when Jalen Duren is involved early and he's scoring early and often, he's actually far more effective defensively and throughout the rest of the game. He's going to rebound better. He's going to facilitate more, and he gets that offense rolling. That is a big part of this team's overall scheme. And so what I want to see moving forward is let's trust our system. Cade, you don't need to dominate from beginning to end. What we need is to get into the offense. And this is something that I have been questioning for a while. Is Cade Cunningham a floor general? Look, he's an extremely talented player. He's the man. He's an all NBA level talent. I think he's going to be a future top 5 player. In the next couple of seasons, I think he's going to be better than a Jason Tatum. I think he's going to be better than most of the top guys out there. He's going to be just as good as somebody like Anthony Edwards in his own way. I think he's going to be that dude. And you have to learn how to bring your team with you. You need to learn how to effectively get guys engaged and know who needs the ball. Because if you have the ball the whole time for possession after possession after possession, those are also possessions other guys are not getting the ball. And this is why we have been really cheering that JB has initiated this point forward play from Asar Thompson. Because when Cade is off the ball and he gets a chance to rest for a while and then pick it up later after they're already flowing into the offense, you actually are far more effective. So moving forward, I really want to see Cade and the team trust this system. Cade, be a part of it. You don't have to take over. We know you could take over. But pace yourself because it's a long ass season. And we need to finish strong in order to maintain our position in the playoffs and not fall into that play-in position. All right. Hey, let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of the game. I know it was bogus. The referees was crazy out there. They was just, I don't know what they was doing. I'm glad JB said something during the press conference because we was all thinking it. And that's what your coach is supposed to do. Stand up for his players. I think they would have had a chance to win if Cade didn't get ejected. Even though him being out the game, I think, sparked the team's defense and transition and playing within their system. I also recognize that sometimes even when he's having a bad game, after he goes out in that third quarter and comes back in the fourth, he's far more locked in, especially on the defensive side. And a defensive unit with Schroeder, Cade, Asar, Harris, and Stewart. That lineup has to be one of the best defensive metric lineups for our team, period. So hopefully we get more of those things going on. I don't think Cade will get ejected again. He's just not that type of dude to consistently get ejected. And I think now that JB said something the way that he did, I think the league is going to make sure that they, crack down on like, yo, refs, you're going to have to start refereeing them a little bit, not tighter, but more aware of the different things taking place. Isaiah Stewart is a physical player. He's not a dirty player. He's a physical player, and sometimes teams try to deal with that by flopping, like Marcus Smart did in Washington, or like what happened plenty of times today where you called him for a flagrant foul, even though the dude already fell on his own by stepping on his own teammate's foot. Like these are the things that that we need to kind of really crack down on to make sure that we're actually giving this team that is a playoff team their just due. So as always, let me know what you think of the video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Follow me, and definitely let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.